Hi there, welcome to this week's Seekers and Cynics. My name is Richard Bentley. This is Bodmin Road Church on Bransholme in Hull, and this is our weekly look at Christianity, the Christian faith, what it means, trying to answer some of your questions. And I thought I'd start a little series this week called What Did Jesus Mean? So I thought I'd take a few things that Jesus said and just ask ourselves the question, well, what did he mean? The Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, give us a very full record from 4 different angles, 4 different journalists, if you like, each recording for us the life and the teaching of Jesus Christ. And what I thought we'd do in this little series is just take some of the things, can't look at everything, but some of the things that Jesus said. Sometimes he said things a little bit cryptically, sometimes he used figures of speech, metaphor, exaggeration for impact. Sometimes he spoke in stories and parables. Jesus used whichever way he could to get people's attention and to get people thinking. In fact, there's one small danger that I'll flag before we do this. In explaining what Jesus meant, sometimes you might fall into the trap that one falls into if you have to explain a joke. Not that Jesus told jokes, but my point is, if you have to explain a joke, it loses its humour, doesn't it? If you have to explain a joke, it loses its impact. And there's a degree to which sometimes Jesus said things certain ways in order to make us think. And what I don't want to do is do the thinking for you, because sometimes Jesus said things just so that we would go away and think. And so if I unpack it, then it's a little bit like explaining a joke. But at risk of that, let's still do this just to help us. So the saying I want to take today is Jesus said, I've come for the sick, not the healthy. I've come for the sick, not the healthy. What did Jesus mean? Did he mean that he just wants to work in hospitals and hang around with sick people, that he's not interested in people who are well or able-bodied? No, he didn't mean that. There's a little bit of clever talk in what he's saying. He's trying to make us think. He's trying to just say something a little bit sharp and a little bit smart that makes us think. First of all, we've got to understand that he's talking spiritually, not physically. He isn't talking about the physically sick or the physically healthy. He's talking about spiritual sickness and spiritual health. And that tells us straight away that those two things exist, that we can be spiritually healthy and we can be spiritually sick. So that's the first thing. What does Jesus mean, though, that I didn't come for the healthy? Does that mean he doesn't like people who aren't doing well spiritually? Not at all. He's been a bit cryptic and a bit clever with his audience. He's addressing this saying to a very religious audience, to people who thought they were healthy, to people who thought they were doing well spiritually, to people who thought that they had God's big tick, to people who thought, yeah, I'm okay, I tick all the boxes, I'm going to go to heaven, I'm just fine. And in his day, those people were called Pharisees. That was the group, the label that they belonged to. They were very strict, very religious, kept all the rules. But the problem was, not to a man, but on the whole, there was a pride that went with that. And so what looked like spiritual health on the surface was actually spiritual sickness underneath. There was a pride, there was a looking down the nose at other people who they considered to be less righteous than they were. There was a haughtiness, there was a snobbery that went with that. And so whilst it might have looked religious and proper and good, there was a self-righteousness and a pride that went with it. And that's an ugly thing. So when Jesus says, I haven't come for the healthy, what he's actually saying is you're not healthy at all. You think you are. And if you think you are, then I can do you no good. If you think you're fine with God, then Jesus is no use to us. What Jesus means is it's only those who can accept and recognize that they are sick, that there is sin in their lives, that they need forgiveness, that they are broken people, selfish people, that there's absolutely nothing to be proud about in terms of our spiritual standing. Those are the people Jesus can work with, and that's what he means. What he means is if we're prepared to admit where we're at, then Jesus can do something with us. He can actually start to clean us up and turn us around and put us right with God. That's what he came to do, to put man right with God, to forgive our sins, to make us whole again on the inside, to give us peace and wholeness and forgiveness and to cleanse us. But if we're not prepared to admit in the first place that we need that, if we think we're healthy, then there's nothing Jesus can do for us. And so when he says, I haven't come for the healthy, what he really means is that I haven't come for those who think they're healthy. For those who think they're fine, you're stuck. And so the warning of this thing is that we should never find ourselves or become like those Pharisees who were full of religious pride, who thought that they had done enough in their own self-righteousness to please God, who thought they could make their own way to heaven, and who looked down on others whose morals they felt were beneath them. Whilst that might have looked like a healthy lifestyle on the surface, Jesus said, you are like whitewashed graves, he said to them. You know, on the outside, you're all white, painted white, nice and clean looking. But on the inside, you're full of rotting flesh. That was what Jesus challenged those Pharisees. And that's what pride does to us. We might look great on the outside, but on the inside, it's rotten. We won't get to heaven like that, however religious we are, however moral we are. The only way to heaven is to confess that we don't meet God's standards, that we need Jesus Christ, that we are sick, that sin has made us sick, that selfishness has made us sick. And then Jesus says, that's great, because that puts you in the perfect position for me to help you. So where are you and I today? Do we think we're fine? Do we take pride in our own self-righteousness? Do we think we've deserved or we've merited or we can earn God's big tick? That's a dangerous position to be in, Jesus says. But if we'll simply come and kneel at the cross where Jesus died for us and confess and admit that we need his grace, we need his forgiveness, we need his healing, we need him to straighten us up and sort us out and straighten us out, then we're in a place where Jesus can work with us and make a difference. I've not come for the healthy, he said.